I couldn't be more excited today, because I'm here at the Missouri Review with one of its recent contributors, Erin Flanagan. Her short story, The Wrong Man, appears in the magazine's spring 2011 issue. I'm thrilled that you could make it.
Thank you, Stan. It's an honor to be here.
Let's get right to the questions. My experience of the creative process, which I'll admit has been confined to cocktail mixology and jigsaw puzzles, is that things happen in a certain order. In your story, the characters are living out their own drama while they also wrapped up in the proceedings of the O.J. Simpson trial. In what order did you conceive of this story? Did you decide, at the outset, to use the trial as a backdrop?
I'm friends with a woman who was a social worker in the 90s, and parts of this story are inspired by her. I recommend all fiction writers become friends with social workers. They have the best stories and are keen observers of human behavior, although they are sticklers on that confidentiality bit. My friend was living in California at the time and watched the Bronco go by with clients, and she really did get obsessed with the O.J. trial and watched it start to finish. What always struck me was how convinced she was of O.J.'s guilt, although she wasn't necessarily surprised by the outcome. About the time I decided to write a story about seeing the Bronco, a homeless man set up shop on a street corner near my house, selling roses for $3 a piece. He had a tattoo on his face that looked like a bat, although my husband told me later it was an eagle. It was most likely some kind of patriotic mistake. I decided to throw him in there, and, best I can remember, that's how the story started.
As the story goes on, your protagonist offers details of the Simpson trial as she sees it unfold, and they're not always the most notable ones. Did you have to research the trial much, or were these the details that you yourself recalled from the trial's media coverage?
I have a terrible memory, especially of important events, so I did have to do some research, although I used that word loosely. Most of the research was online. I used Wikipedia, for goodness sake. Although I did read one book that came out about the trial. My crazy social worker friend had read them all and recommended one of them. The thing I love about researching for fiction is how much it gives you for a story. Not only an event to hang a story on, but those odd details that end up making a story work, like O.J. saying, in his suicide note, "If we had a problem, it's because I loved her too much. I cannot make something that good up. Or if I could, it would ring false." Research hands you stuff like that, all the time.
It seems to me that at the story's end, your protagonist has reached a greater understanding of herself, of the people around her, and even of the troubling figure of O.J. Simpson, as a result of her obsession with the trial and its simultaneity with her own problems. It suggests a charitable, and very appealing, view of the phenomenon of the media circus, for lack of a readier term. I wonder if you espouse this approach, and I wonder if you would say we've learned something as a culture from the O.J. Simpson trial in particular, and the way it turned out, either in a positive or negative way.
I think the media circus is just that. A circus. But who doesn't love going to the circus? I guess I'm curious to see how we make sense of national events on a personal level, how they can move from entertainment or politics to something we use to shape our lives and identities. What you thought of the O.J. trial was probably as influenced by your race, class, age, and sex, as it was by your interpretation of justice and trial evidence. Who knows, maybe it was influenced by a romantic relationship. One of the reasons I decided to write the story about the O.J. trial in past tense rather than capturing that craziness in the now was because I thought Kate needed some distance to make sense of it, to figure out what it all meant to her. I look at things going on in our country right now, from Charlie Sheen melting down in public to Osama bin Laden's murder, and think, how will this be played 10 or 20 years from now? And, why can't 2.5 men just go away?
We've spent nearly 5 minutes together. Tell me about the real Erin Flanagan.
This is an accurate representation of the real Erin Flanagan, only I'm not quite this tall and I prefer to wear patterns. And I would have hugged you when I met you, but I thought video me was restricted to stiff walking and a few repetitive hand gestures.
What's next for Erin Flanagan? Are you still writing?
Yes, I'm still writing. AIC. Ass, in chair. That's my motto. I would sit in a chair to show you what I look like writing, but again, the stiff walking and hand gestures.
Thank you so much, Erin. I have to go now. Please don't follow me.
But wait. We could still try to hug.